104.5 The Team, Levack and Goz here live, Radio Row, Mall of America for Super Bowl 52, and this is really cool. Like, we've been waiting to talk to you for a while. Ryan Leaf joining us. Every year, we go to everybody, who was your best interview? And you are 9 times out of 10 the answer.
Really?
Yeah, because, well, you've lived this crazy life. You went, I remember, I grew up a Michigan fan, and I watched you lead a team that probably wasn't nearly as talented as Michigan and almost take out Michigan in a bowl game, you know what I mean? So I watched you in college, I watched you, and I rooted for you in the pros. What ultimately went wrong? And I know you probably told the story a million times. What happened?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. I think it was just the idea of being able to deal with failure. I mean, being able to deal with adversity, and then things can just spiral out of control in a minute in that league if you're not able to take those things in stride. Because every guy who gets to that level is talented. It's what you do between the years and from Sunday to Sunday. And people forget Peyton threw the most interceptions in the NFL his rookie year, our rookie year. And for me, that would have crushed me. And my stats alone did that. And, the idea of failure as an opportunity to do it better the next time never was a reality to me until later in life.
Is that the best advice you could offer some younger NFL players who might be hitting their rookie year? Like, hey, I was in this spot before. Here's the best advice I'd give you.
Well, I think the best advice I give those guys is that just because you're a great NFL or just because you're a great football player doesn't make you a good person. I think that's a huge motivating factor for me to tell young guys that, build that foundation first, because football's fleeting. It is. It's gone before you know it. And then there's about identity and figuring out who you really are, because sometimes I feel sorry for guys that were so great in the NFL that's who they have to be the rest of their life. They have to live up to like these expectations that just aren't real. To be able to find yourself and be humbled in a way, I think has been hugely important for me and who I am as a person. And now I can just actually be Ryan to people rather than Ryan the football player, than Ryan the failed football player.
Ryan Leaf with us right now, 104.5 The Team. When you see the scrutiny of Brady last week, where he's got tape on his hand, he's wearing gloves, do you just look back and go, "Thank God, I'm not doing that right now"?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was drafted, and there was a news van outside my house, and they were following me around, and I mean, to think that you were that important, how do you not feel important when that's happening? You have to keep yourself in check, and then when something like this Super Bowl comes up, where I spend the day on Media Row, Radio Row, and you tell me that 9 times out of 10 that I'm the interview of the week. I got to keep that stuff in check and understand that keep my ego out of it, and remember this is about helping people who are struggling, and that's always remember to remind me. And I surround myself with people that do. They keep me in check, they hold me accountable, and make sure I remember that.
I really like the camouflage Washington State gear you're rocking. That's pretty cool. What would Ryan Leaf, a younger version of you, done in a Mike Leach offense?
Well, I would have thrown it a lot. I know that. I mean, I like watching it. Sometimes I think of it like as the freak show at the circus, right? Everybody come and see this 90 passes a game thing, I don't know necessarily if they can win a championship with that, but it's entertaining to watch, and I think in Pullman, it's what's needed, and he's a good fit in Pullman, Washington, just kind of like Mike Price was. Mike Price was kind of wily and a great motivator, and I think Mike Leach does the same thing for us.
Well, since we brought up coaches, is there a coach nowadays you look at and you're like, that's the guy? If I could turn back time, have my mind right the way it is now, that's the guy I want to play for.
I mean, there's quite a few. I think there's some really motivating coach. What Sean McVay has been able to do in L.A., which is right around the corner. I got the great opportunity and honor to have dinner with him a little while back, and I just couldn't get over how young he is. He's 31 years old, 32 years old at the time, and what he's been able to accomplish. And I think he just kind of gave Jared Goff a real boost of confidence and show him that he was capable of doing that, where, the black cloud that followed Jeff Fisher and that organization during that time, I think really affected him, confidence-wise. And he excelled this year and did an amazing job, and I think I would have really liked to have played for him, yeah.
You're rocking the hat right now. Your foundation, helping athletes. For those that may not know, what do you do now that helps athletes?
Well, we do a lot, but in particular, I'm the program ambassador for Transcend Recovery Community. We're based in Los Angeles and Houston and New York, and we're a sober living environment, a recovery community for people who are dealing with substance abuse and mental health. And, I get the luxury or honor, I suppose, to be able to travel around this country and try to help people, which I think is so much more important than anything I ever did before. The selfish nature of me back in the day thought me being a good athlete or entertaining people that way was in some way service, and it certainly wasn't. It really is about looking at another human being, another flawed human being like myself, and us trying to be better together by telling our stories, and that's what we do at Transcend.
Ryan Leaf with us, and Ryan, how important is sense of humor for where you are? Like, you had a tweet recently where, because Josh Allen was ranked #1 on Mel Kiper's Big Board, and the first tweet I see anywhere is yours. He did rank me over Peyton. Like, how important is sense of humor for where you are right now in your life?
I think everybody should not take everything so seriously. I mean, which is ironic because I took things so seriously when I was playing. Like it was so important if somebody said something negative about me or critical, and I'm just like, what other people think of me is none of my business, really. Unless it's my family members or the people that are holding me accountable. That's where the real importance goes. So when he does that, it was also a shot to kind of like say, let's not go out of our way and put a ton of pressure on this young kid too. Mel put a big bullseye on him by doing that.
Right.
And there's a lot of pressure around that now, because if he, gets drafted #1 and doesn't succeed, it's a big deal to be a bust in people's eyes.
Ryan Leaf with us right now on Radio Row, Super Bowl 52, Mall of America. Just an amazing story, redemption, Transcend recovery community being represented well by you, obviously very, very well by you. We talk about the sense of humor and all that stuff, and with all this going on around you, like how do you still keep it in perspective? You say you keep good people around you, but like I said, again, you're like, every time I see you walk by, there's like 4 people going, hey, come here, please, please, please come with us. How do you still keep it in perspective?
Well, I remember that when I come on the show and do this has nothing to do with me. It really doesn't. This is about the person on the other end that's listening, who's struggling, who's where I'm at. And a lot of people asked that question a few years ago when I first started doing this. They're like, because they didn't believe me. They weren't I wasn't trustworthy, and there was no evidence to back it up. And they'd say, you're telling somebody it's trying to change their mind about you. And I'm like, well, this has nothing to do about me. This isn't for them. This isn't for the listener that wants their mind changed about Ryan Leaf. This is a platform for me to help somebody who is where I was at, and it was the most miserable place. And my hope is that no one ever has to feel that miserable as I did. And by sharing my story and talking about it, allows for somebody to reach out. The coolest thing about social media is that I'll get a message from somebody that says, I heard you on a radio show 92 days ago, and I just want to tell you I'm 90 days sober today.
That's awesome.
I mean, those are the most validating things for what we do, because it's hard. It's emotional to talk about this stuff because it's something that affected you. But to your point, I don't take myself very seriously, but I take the issue very, very seriously.
I like it, Ryan Leaf. Before we let you go, the XFL is going to pop up, and we just got a new arena team back in Albany, New York. Could you still sling it? Like, could you get out there and hum it around the field?
Of course. I mean, couldn't be able to play. I can sling it though. I mean, so if they want to bring me in to throw practice and throw BP for baseball, I can do that stuff. But I'm not going to be chased around by anybody ever again. That's for sure.
Ryan Leaf, great story. Make sure you check out Transcend Recovery Community. Ryan, thanks for making time for us.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.